Devlin, Untamed. The platform.
Welcome to the podcast, people. Martin Devlin, Lachlan Waugh, iOS It's Only Sport. The highlights from today's show on the platform. The All Blacks named to face Argentina Saturday, Eden Park, second test. As well, 4 changes to that run on 15. Razor from the presser. Panthers versus Storm tonight. Grand final preview. Is it? The two best teams in the NRL going at it. Matt Elliott, former Raiders, Panthers, Warriors coach, breaking it all down for us. The Premier League kicks off this weekend. Yesterday, the league CEO Richard Masters gave it the full Mark Robinson. Oh, we're not happy with Man City and the financial fair play charges that they face. And our intention in this space is to synergise the synergies in a forum that will absolutely confront their irregularities. Just stop it, mate. Andy Buckley talking, who's going to win the Premier League? Is it going to be another Man City benefit again? Peter FitzSimons came on to defend Raygun. Greg Martin kicked the show off saying, she's just an Aussie bum. Costo's corner running through the NRL round 24. And we celebrated BOP, Bay of Plenty, winning the Ranfurly Shield on this day for the very first time in 2004. Plus, New Zealand cricket. Finn Allen and Devon Conway saying, I can't be bothered, rather go off and play T20 tournaments in the Seychelles and represent our country, grow some New Zealand cricket and let these guys get gone. All of that talking about in the podcast. We begin the show the same way every single day, which is tablets in hand. I say, gather my flock. It is time for a sermon. The Premier League's underway on Saturday. Let's go to the mountaintop.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
Here we go, here we go, here we go. Why do I sound so pleased about it, knowing that I know what the outcome is going to be? Another Premier League season kicks off this weekend, which means another 9 months for me of getting up hell early on Sunday morning to watch my stupid dumb team play. I started supporting Man United in 1975. It's easily the longest relationship I've had in my life, outside of my parents and my siblings. It's coming up 50 years of a hell of a lot of fun. It's massive glory and huge disappointments. And those are the things you remember most. Yes, we had a wonderful, mind-blowingly successful stint, a 27-year stint, in fact, under Sir Alex Ferguson as manager, where we won 13 titles in a 21-year span. I say we because it is my team. And I have supported them, as I said, for 50 years. And that involved way back when I was 11, 12 and 13, getting on a bike at 3 o'clock in the morning with my brother and cycling round to our mate Colin McDougall's place in Upper Hutt, about 5k away. And that's because he had a shortwave radio. And rather than just wait till 9:05 for the British football results on national radio, we wanted to actually hear the halftime scores live as they happen. And so on this shortwave radio, we used to sit in that bedroom, cold, freezing cold, and listen to a live game on the radio. So I think I have got a stake in the game. It was a glorious, glorious time under Sir Alex. It was amazing. It was also so bloody long ago that in today's terms, in terms of what is going on right here, right now, it's irrelevant. We, Man United, at the moment, are the Warriors of the Premier League. We think we should be challenging for the title. Oh, yeah, we keep talking it up. We keep talking it up like we're a contender, but the reality is we aren't at all. We are nowhere. We are a bit part player. We are a pretender. The title will be won again by Man City, and if it isn't, then that would have been one hell of a shock of a season. They've won 6 of the last 7, including the last 4 in a row. That is historic. No other team in either the Premier League or the old First Division won more than 3 in a row. The financial fair play, cheating, oil money spending, fancy-dancy lawyer hiring to cover their own overspending rorting club are an absolute on-field juggernaut. That is the most dominant Premier League club ever. And that is borne by achievement and the factual reality, again, of 6 and 7, 4 in a row. Now, Man United under Sir Alex won 8 and 11, 13 and 21, but not 6 and 7, not 4 in a row. And again this season, unless by some absolute miracle, Arsenal or Liverpool can somehow match City's unerring consistency, well, they are the team to beat. Again, the rest of us can only look on jealously and hope that the Premier League grows some soccer balls and actually punish this club duly for the 115 separate financial fair play fraud charges that they did breach. The chance, though, of my team, my lot, winning the title are about the same as newly promoted Ipswich. As I said, unless a miracle happens, unless a major seismic shock happens, it is once again Man City's to lose, and once again, they are going to win it.
Devlin.
What do you want? We want information. Information. You won't get it.
The platform.
Sports news headlines before we get going, mate. I mean, it's obviously about the All Blacks, but this New Zealand cricket story.
Well, yeah, I'll get to the All Blacks first because that's probably the most important story. The All Blacks side to take on Argentina in the second Rugby Championship test this weekend at Eden Park has been named. 4 changes to the starting side. I will quickly go through those. Caleb Clark, Will Jordan start on the wing in place of Mark Telea and Sevu Reece. Rieko Ioane is back at centre, a bit surprising. Ethan de Groot has a neck injury, so he's out. So Tamaiti Williams will start at loose head prop. Apart from that, no other changes to a forward pack that I think it's fair to say got pretty damn beasted last week and were terrible at the set piece. Sam Kane named on the bench. He is in there in place of Wallace Satiti. Now, Talia and Leonard Brown will come off the bench. They've been named on the bench. The likes of Cortez Raitama, Josh Lord, Fletcher Newell, Tuanga Fasi, Elmore still there as well. Bowden Barrett still at fullback, Damien McKenzie still at 10, TJ Piranata still at 9, Adi Savia still the captain, Dalton still starting at 7, Blackhead is still in there as well. If you want to check out the full team, head to the All Blacks website, socials, wherever you want to indulge in that information. Yes, some big cricket news. Black Caps contract news. Devon Conway will represent the national men's cricket side on a casual playing contract. He's set to be available for all Black Caps matches for the next 12 months, bar these white ball matches against Sri Lanka in January. Now, I think there's 6 of them. Let me just quickly look at this article. 6 white ball games against Sri Lanka in January. The bigger news, and what is a real shame, is that short format batter Finn Allen has turned down a central contract.
Is it a shame?
I think he's very talented.
He's
very
got
talented.
so much potential, but how many times has he really...
He needs to brush up on a few... He's still young. He needs to brush up on a few things, but he's very talented.
Run off and play your T20 Seychelles silly tournament, mate. Give us a guy that wants to play for New Zealand.
Agreed. He's turned down a central contract offer to concentrate on franchise opportunities. He will remain available with the Black Caps, but his selection for upcoming squads will be on a case-by-case basis. More cricket news. Heath Mills, the head of the New Zealand Cricket Players Association, has raised concerns over cricket's inclusion in the next Olympics, saying, quote, "Not a cent will go to cricket's national bodies or players." It's a fair point. Football news. The Wellington Phoenix have found their new number 1 for the upcoming A-League men's season in the form of English-Nigerian goalkeeper Josh Oluwayemi. I hope I pronounced that correctly. It's a good signing. Manchester United captain Bruno Fernandes,
yes!
or as it is correctly meant to be pronounced, Bruno Fernandes. That's how you meant to pronounce it. Martin Tyler said that in a video that I saw not long ago. Bruno Fernandes has signed a new contract that will extend his stay at Old Trafford until June 2027 with the option for a further year. Benji Marshall is among the latest inductees into the NRL Hall of Fame, becoming the 4th New Zealander to be honoured. And finally, more rugby league. A belter of a game on tonight in the NRL, round 24 kicking off with the Panthers up against the Storm out in Penrith.
All right.
What a game.
What is more chance of happening? The Broncos make the 8,
That's
or
not
both
happening.
of us stay up all night, watch that game and stay awake?
Both of us? Oh, more chance Broncos make the 8. Much more chance.
I will go in with all good intent, ladies and gentlemen. I want to watch this game. I always fall asleep in the second half.
Devlin.
That is a disgusting act.
The platform.
Text coming in thick and fast, and you kind of get the feeling that the balloon may have been pricked a little bit with Razor Ray. You can break dance as much as you like. You can be, super cool dude, surfer, all of that. But the only currency that the All Blacks operate in is called wins. It doesn't matter who you are, what your personality's like. If that team is winning, then you're a great coach. If it's not, questions are going to be asked. Martin. It's a backline of outside backs. A good thing 10, 12, 13 unimportant positions. When you look at that team, you're exactly right. It is. It's a backline of outside backs. And is Bowden Barrett a fullback or is he a first 5? Is Will Jordan a winger or is he a fullback? Is Rieko Ioane a centre or is he a winger? All right, let's go to the press conference. Razor Ray. In no particular order. The thinking behind Rieko getting his spot back, Scott, please.
Oh, he's had a great few weeks. It's his opportunity. Look, he's had some great performances beside Geordie Barrett there, and there's an opportunity to have another crack.
Okay, I don't want to start by this, but that's just rubbish. I mean, that really is. He's had a great few weeks and some great performances. Name one. Anyone, name one. The reason he got dropped for that first test against Argentina is quite clearly against England he was okay, but is okay good enough for an All Black centre? What has he done? Well, we haven't seen him in training, okay? But what are we going to get? Are we going to get a Rico that is different this week, that can actually set his outsides up, that is going to play like a centre should? One change to the forwards, injury forced. Why is that, considering that Argentina, I'm not going to say dominated us, but, you know, we certainly didn't dominate them in those encounters in that first test.
I think every All Black forward pack after a result like that gets a chance for a bit of redemption and another opportunity, and you know they've owned it. We all have, and you know it's great to move forward now. We looked at it and then thought, here we go, Eden Park. Let's get into it.
Redemption and opportunity. Okay, that's what you should have said around Rico. I'm okay with this as far as Scott Robertson is concerned, because this is how the All Blacks operate. We've always operated like this. We lose one test against an opponent, then those same guys get the chance to go again the next game. If we lose again against Argentina, good God forbid, at Eden Park, there goes the 30-year unbeaten record at Fortress Eden Park, then the selectors have seriously got to consider massive changes before we play the Springboks. If these guys can't dominate Argentina as a forward pack, if ours can't, then what hope in hell have we got of going over to Africa and doing it against them over there? Will Jordan, next. Justin Marshall on the program a couple of weeks ago.
He played all of his rugby under Scott Robertson at fullback, unless he had to shift because of catastrophic injury problems, which was very, very rare. He selected him there. The only person that selected Will Jordan on the wing is Ian Foster, and obviously that was his preference because Ian Foster couldn't live with not having Bowden Barrett and Richie Mo'unga on the field at the same time.
So what has Scott Robertson done? He's done an Ian Foster here. So what's the thinking behind Will Jordan on the wing, given the fact that you have stated that your preference is for him to play fullback?
Oh, look, we believe his skill set's perfect for this combination. Obviously, Bones playing really good footy. They've worked together closely, and good voice. They execute really well together. So just the experience we felt was best for this weekend.
I am not questioning the wisdom of the All Black coach here, but I am worried that we might be getting into what I call a New South Wales Blues origin approach, where you've got all of these good players and you want to fit them all into the side, so you start playing them out of position. He's a fullback, Will Jordan. Changes to the wings. Caleb Clark in at 11. Talia goes to the bench. Sevi dropped altogether. The reasons behind those?
My job's to build cohesion, also what's right for this team. Like, he's a power wing. Caleb can't carry the ball and dent a line, and he's good in the air. So we just think those two will complement each other this weekend.
Were you tempted to make a change at halfback, not start TJ, start Cortez?
Yeah. No, good question. Look, TJ can play. There's opportunity to go again this weekend and lead the team in the 9 jersey. We've got a good combination with Cortez going, so they'll work well together again this weekend.
Look, I can understand if you're going to stay with Mackenzie. I know that him and Ratima play together for the Chiefs, but this is a test match, and Damien McKenzie is still very much finding his feet at test level. He's done some brilliant things, which is what we expect of him, which is why he's an All Black. But also the helter-skelter, the skittery-jittery, and the Super Rugby approach to playing a test match has got to be gone from his game. TJ, I thought, was ponderous against Argentina. Unless he's done 5 or 6 days hard out on that left foot clearance, the Argies are going to be using exactly the same tactic against him this week. I would have started Cortez Ratima myself. Was there a balancing? Well, what difference does it make what I think? But I actually would have. I would have started him and Bowden as opposed to. But you are the All Black coach and you're going to live and die by this. Was there a balancing act between dropping players and giving others a chance at redemption?
It's a balance of the both. Gone for a few combinations, kept them together, and also a little bit of experience in there, and what we think's for this weekend, what we needed for this weekend, especially with a bit of wet weather coming.
Finally, and I love this question. This is a great question. Is there a fear that you guys might be overcoaching the players?
Oh, I think you asked that question yourself all day. The ability to coach simply is probably the first thing in our minds. Look, we learnt a lot last weekend. We all did, and just got to learn quick and then go and put it into action. So that's been our focus.
We have a game to play, Lachlan, called...
We need to talk.
Should or could?
We need to talk.
It's a brand new game.
Next!
Should TJ start this second test?
I know you want a clear, definitive answer. Yes and no. I'd say no because I personally would love to see Ratama start. I personally would love the idea of the All Black coach offering consequence to his players when they don't perform well enough. And you know you can make an argument for a number of players who did perform well individually, but at the end of the day, the team didn't win.
At the same time, though, I do agree with the idea. If the guy didn't play well, give him one more chance. That's the All Black ethos, mate.
Yeah. I agree with that as well. And also, look, I don't think TJ was terrible.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
I think he was as good as most of the team. So I do agree with that. I like the idea of guys earning their shot back.
Should Rico be back at centre? What has he done to?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so when Scott Robertson says, he's had a great few weeks and he's had some fantastic matches alongside Geordie. Again, I'm not trying to be a smarty pants here. I haven't seen that. I mean, what are you looking at that I'm not looking at?
Oh, is he talking about performances and trainings?
Who knows? Because on the field, we are, look, what we're seeing with Rico is we're seeing a guy that is blinkered, a guy that has played over 30 test matches at centre, a guy who we want to be a hell of a lot better in that position, and he's just not delivering it. And look, this combination, when you look at the two players, their strength, their size, their experience and everything else, should be, if not the best in the world, the second or third best centre combination in the world, and they're just not delivering that.
Next!
Should Sam Cane start in place of Dalton at 7?
I think so. I think both of us have been saying this all week. I don't think Dalton is better than Sam Cane.
What does he do better?
No, nothing. Well, what does a 7 do?
Well, I want the 7 to be first at the breakdown.
Yeah.
I want him to be wrestling the ball back. I want him to be creating turnovers. I want him to be putting immense pressure on their 9 and 10.
Yeah. First, making contact defensively.
Bang.
That's what you want from your 7.
Bang.
It's not a flashy position, and you don't always often see them, but then if you're concentrating, you see them first at everything. And Sam Cane is very similar to Richie McCaw in that sense, that he does all of that.
Well,
and we saw it at the World Cup.
Totally agree. And look, and he of course, has always suffered through his career as an All Black because he's following on from one of the greatest players that's ever played the game, McCaw. But here's a pretty damn good number 2, number 7 to McCaw, I thought. And at the World Cup last year, he was an absolute beast. No, I mean, look, if you're fit enough to be on the bench, you're fit enough to start.
Next!
Oh, this has got to be Dalton's last hurrah. Should Tupu Vai have kept his place at lock?
A bit like the TJ question, yes and no. Yes, in the sense that we don't have a lot of depth at lock. He's clearly one of the 2 or 3 future locks for the All Blacks, and they want to develop him. The coaches want to develop him. So I understand why he's being picked consistently. At the same time, he debuted for the All Blacks in 2020. He's been in this setup for a long time.
Yeah, and again, he's just one of those players who, at international level, look, he got a great turnover against England in that second test.
It's a dodgy turnover, but yes.
Okay, got a great, but yeah, I mean, he's to me, he's a bit like Dalton Papali'i. He was like Samipeni. I just don't see enough of what he's doing.
He goes missing.
Yeah,
he goes missing.
Yeah. Final one.
Next.
Should Will Jordan be starting at 15 at fullback?
Absolutely.
Well, why isn't he?
This is strange. The one thing I would have thought that Scott Robertson would have brought to the role, and one thing that I personally was a little bit critical of Ian Foster, was he was far too committed to some players and giving them starts and playing them in positions that it didn't really make sense. One of them for me was Will Jordan.
It was almost pig-headed in the selection, wasn't it? It was almost like, this guy is going to be there because I want him there, because he is going to be there because it has to happen, and there you go.
So when Razor came in, I thought there will be, particularly because he played Will Jordan at fullback coaching the Crusaders, that there'll be a definitive idea around where some guys would play, more so than there was, Will Jordan being the main one.
Justin said in that quote, he said, look, Foster was just was committed to having both Bowden and Richie Mo'unga on the field at the same time. And I'm thinking, what is this the same street that Scott Robertson is driving down, that he has to have two guys on there who can interchange between first five and point. He wants McKenzie on there and he
Well,
wants...
this is back-to-back tests now where he's named a team where Will Jordan is healthy enough to be on the bench and therefore you'd think healthy enough to start, but Razor has chosen to go with Damien McKenzie at first five, Beauden Barrett at fullback and Jordan either coming off the bench or on the wing. It doesn't really make sense. Well, I don't think it makes sense.
Greg Martin joins us every single Thursday on the show. So much to discuss. His woeful Wallabies getting absolutely poleaxed last week by the Springboks, who now make 10 changes. Have the Boks turned the Wallabies into the All Blacks play Fiji and San Diego? Because they're putting up a B team in Perth. Marto. The Springboks have made 10 changes to the team to play you in Perth. That means you are now officially not the Wallabies. You are Fiji and San Diego Wallabies.
Okay. They're a wonderful team. They won the World Cup. They're the best team in the world. They've still got 14 guys who won the World Cup in their B team. But they need to get everyone a go because they've got to, what did he say? He said, we've got to think of the next generation and bring these guys through. No, they're playing a team who's ninth in the world called Australia and we can do anything we want. Oh, mate, it's embarrassing. I'm sorry.
Well, last week I tuned in and I'd been talking to you, throwing you that amazing stat. You've won 7 out of the last 10 against them in Australia and you had a but no, that was an absolute toweling.
Come back. I think my words before the game, our expectations are low. That's the good thing. That World Cup last year with Eddie in charge, that has set the bar so low for us that, beating Georgia was actually a moment to celebrate a few weeks ago. And we knew, I told you last week, we're now entering the A grade. We got into the A grade comp and we got hammered. And they had 3 yellow cards and we still only scored a try with 5 to go. Oh, but you know what? The saddest thing was I went to Suncorp and watched that one on Saturday, and then Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane here, the Dolphins played the Warriors on Sunday. Now, Suncorp Stadium is known as the Cauldron because of state of origin, because it's the Broncos' home ground, and it's just full-on home ground support. Saturday and Sunday, there were more Springbok fans on Saturday against the Wallabies than there were Wallaby fans. It was a full crowd of 52. And then Sunday there was 35,000 and there were more Wahs than there were Dolphins, mate. We've got a wonderful immigration policy over here.
I kept hearing that Boca, and I was just thinking, God, that's it. Look, at least so you sold out the stadium, unlike the All Blacks who, 10,000 short in Wellington. Yuck.
I didn't realise that. That's alarm bells when the Warriors are selling out every game and they're not winning. I don't know how great going. Where is it going, sir?
Oh, well, okay, we got to rebound because, Razor, welcome to the job, mate. I mean, if this was Ian Foster coaching that side against Argentina, he would have absolutely worn it because that was such a disjointed, unconvincing All Black performance. We've been talking about it all week, mate, that the All Blacks that played at the Rugby World Cup last year, that team would dick this team and most of them are the same players. So go figure, what the hell's happened?
I don't know if you remember the World Cup. What was it, 2007, when we got beaten by England, got knocked out of the quarterfinals, and 3 later you guys got beaten by France. It was kind of like that on Saturday. We all trooped back up to the pubs in Caxton Street after the Wallabies got beaten by South Africa. And then, of course, the terrible news that you guys got beaten by All Blacks
Yeah.
I'd hate to say it, but it cheered us up. So, I don't, mate, what is wrong with the All Blacks? I guess, has that been the question in the whole of New Zealand all week, I suppose?
No, because we've had this rather convenient smoke screen and a glorious smoke screen just like yours. We had the New Zealand Olympic team bringing home 10 golds, 20 medals, the most golds we'd ever got at a Games. Cock-a-doodle bloody do, mate.
Yeah, well, I'm focusing on that as well because it's not just a bunch of footy players, it's a bit of everything. You guys are amazing. That's one of the most extraordinary performances in sporting history. Did you, I suppose there's been per capita medal tallies, did you?
Well,
the best nation
we had King Charles coming out and telling us that we're the greatest nation and we won it. But of course, here in New Zealand, I mean, well, that just means you're a colonial rapist, King Charles. What the hell are you doing, mate? The last thing we want is you to tell us anything nice about ourselves. Times have changed, Greg.
Well done.
Times have changed, mate, No, and also, doff the cap your side, 18 golds for Australia. I mean, this part of the world, if we combined our resources, we'd have 28 gold medals as one country, mate. We'd be way up there on the points table.
Are you saying, do you want to be our East Island?
Well, I've always said that. I've always said that. I don't know why we're trying to compete against the whole world with 5.5 million, mate. Why, we're blood brothers. Why the hell can't we be one?
Well, I'd like to do the tally. I think Queensland, our state here, that is the capital of, there's 5 million people in Queensland, and I think we might have beaten you. I think we got 12 goals. I don't want to rub it in or anything. It's just that we're better than you are.
Well, out of our 10, 8 were won by women or women's teams. Okay, so the men are shrivelling at that news.
Same thing happened over here, mate. We dogged it. I think 14 of ours were women, and men aren't that good anymore over here because we're told not to be good anymore.
That's
we're
right.
told just to behave ourselves.
Okay, a couple of things before we let you go. Your Broncos are the Raygun of the NRL at the moment. Can you still make it?
Hold on. Yes, we can mathematically. I think I said last week we had to win 6 out of our last 4 games. If everyone else falls over, but geez, we're a shadow. We've got 4 good players. Here's the problem, and the rest of the team are just happy to be there. That's the vibe I've been getting out of the inside of the Broncos. So these young blokes just go, "Oh, Bronco! Look how many Instagram look how many Instagram followers I've got. Oh, I've made it." No, you ain't made it until you play properly as a Bronco or any other footballer. They're just happy to be there. There's about 4 stars, and the rest of them are letting the team down. So. And that comes with so many pats on the back all the time and thinking you just turn up and it'll happen. Nah, every week you got to get into it.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full.
The Tight Five.
5 separate sporting topics, roughly a minute or so on each. That reminds us that the time is up and we move on to the next topic. Benji Marshall in the NRL Hall of Fame, joining the other Kiwis, Mark Graham, Stacey Jones, Ruben Wiki. What a hell of an honour. What does he mean to you, Benji Marshall, and just in terms of what he brought to the NRL, Lachlan? So Devin Conway is on a casual contract now for New Zealand cricket, and Finn Allen has done the Trent Bolt and just turned it down altogether because they want to go off and play their silly T10 tournaments in the Seychelles Islands. Grow some New Zealand cricket and tell these guys to get gone. I only want players that want to play for New Zealand. I'm absolutely sick of this. I'm going to bring you a big list next of a whole lot of black caps that can't be asked playing for their countries, that would rather play any other form of cricket there is, except when it comes to, oh my God, there's a big limelight tournament. Oh my God, the cameras are all on us. Oh, I definitely want to play for New Zealand now. Daryl Broman's point re Les Boyd. We'll actually talk about that with the Benji thing. If, as a player, you have done things on field or off field that have brought the game into disrepute, should that then be added to any kind of argument about you gaining an honour like becoming an immortal or getting inaugurated into the Hall of Fame? We've talked about the All Blacks extensively. We'll park that, Lachlan, and come back to it when we play what is more chance of happening in about 20 minutes. Storm versus Panthers tonight. This is just going to be the best sport probably on offer right across the weekend, including the 2 test matches. Springboks have made mass changes. Am I right when I say that the Wallabies are now San Diego, us playing Fiji? Premier League, if you want to talk about that as well. Let's start with the cricket, though, because this really does upset me. And as a Black Caps fan, and I've been a fan longer than all of these players have been alive, Conway, Southey, Kane, Bolt, Finn Allen, Neesham. Have I missed anyone out? Those are the first 6 that come to mind. None of these guys want to play for New Zealand unless...
Did you bring up Adam Milne?
Milne.
I think he turned one down early this year.
Yeah, okay. That's 7. And, when it comes to world tournaments, world championships, we're so desperate for these guys to play. Finn Allen, what have you done for us with a cricket bat in your hand? You go out there, you wog at the first ball, and more often than not, you go out. Brilliant player, lots of potential, but potential doesn't win matches. If you want to run off and play your silly T10 and T20 tournaments, fine. I have no problem with that, but I have a huge problem with New Zealand cricket bending over and taking it up the chutney when you do want to play for us again. I'm over this, Lachlan. I'm over these twats and prats deciding when it is they can feel like playing for New Zealand. Look at the people that went to the Olympics. Wearing a silver fern on your chest is an honour. It is a privilege. If you don't want to play for your country, that's fine. But you need to be given the message loud and clear. Go off and earn all your cash, that's okay. But the irrelevancy of playing these tournaments, this is what these players can't cope with. Because when they do go and play in the United States, and they do go and play in Abu Dhabi, and they do go and play in the Seychelles, no one cares, Lachlan. And their egos are such that they all want people to still know that they're there. New Zealand cricket, you need to bring a hammer down on this. But you won't. Because you're pussies. That's why. You're an administrative bunch of bitches, is what you are.
Yeah, well, they don't want to lose players, I guess, that they see as beloved, players that they think are key to their success.
Well, just pick another guy who can actually hit the ball with the bat.
This is the thing. You and I agree on this, and there's a similar mindset, I think, with the All Blacks when it comes to losing tests. Players need to be punished for losing tests, even if it was, a game where Argentina were far better than you. No, it doesn't matter. You lost a test.
You lost
All
a
Blacks
test for
don't
the All
lose.
Blacks. All Blacks don't lose.
They need to make, if Finn Allen, Devin Conway's different because this is more of a casual capacity, but for someone like Finn Allen who's saying, no, I want to go...
How old is he? 23, 24?
Well, he's younger than me. He's about 24, 25.
Right, and at this stage, he's decided he doesn't want to play for his country.
And that's fine. If he says, that's fine. Go do what you want. But what New Zealand cricket need to be saying to these players is, cool, you can't play for the Black Caps,
That's it.
though.
You've
they
given
need
that
to
up.
totally reformulate the contracts and make it that you've either got it and we call on you and you play for us when we want you to, or you don't and you can go do your own thing.
Totally agree. Absolutely agree. But they won't because you're weak, New Zealand cricket. We've done the All Blacks. We've done that to death. We'll move on and we'll talk about it again a little later on in the show. Benji, NRL Hall of Fame. And the Daryl Broman point re Les Boyd. Let's deal with Benji to start with. To me, that move in the 2005 NRL Grand Final is iconic, is what it is. The backflip. Who was the guy he passed to? Because the guy...
Pat Richards.
He still had a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
He had to fend off a couple, but that break out from Benji Marshall, the goose step, the behind the back, it was like when Shaun Johnson announced his retirement a couple of weeks ago, and everyone was saying, he's encouraged a whole generation of kids to pick up the ball and play and want to be Shaun Johnson. Every kid wanted to be Benji Marshall.
Oh, yeah.
Every kid.
I was one of those kids at school talking about Benji Marshall when I was like 8, 9, 10 years old, which he would have still been in the early stages of his career, but that would have been after they won the premiership. A spectacular player who brought, I think, a flair and a finesse to the game that no one had. Like, I think he was the first to really do it with the silky footwork and the jinky sort of moves. I don't really remember anyone doing it before him. Now, in my time watching rugby league, and now we see guys like Shaun Johnson and...
Well, Greg Alexander was very similar, I thought, when I watched him play. Ricky Stewart was more of a guy that just passed the ball. I'm just thinking of the outstanding number 7s.
But
Alan Langer was a guy that jinked a little bit, but nobody was like Benji. Nobody did the Benji Marshalls.
Well, no, but there was a serious flair to how he did it. I just can't imagine, because I think rugby's a bit similar. I think football's a little bit similar, that it's almost the natural skill around these players and how they perfect it on the training pitch is different to players back in the day. And so one point is, I think Benji was the first, at least that I saw, to really do that.
Congratulations to the guy. Thoroughly deserves it. It's excellent, isn't it? But let's go on to Daryl Broman's point, re Les Boyd, and Matt Elliott was on the program about an hour ago. So, you look at guys, say, like Jared Hayne, for example. If anyone was nominating him for the NRL Hall of Fame, does it come back in that he's a convicted rapist? Or I just think he got off on appeal, but... Just read the trial transcripts. I mean, do you add all of that to it? Do you add what the guy does off the field? Do you add the foul behaviour on the field, like Les Boyd, biting, eye gouging, breaking people's jaws? Does that come into it? How can it not when you consider the career? You see, you can't just say, the same as Michael Jennings to me, you can't just celebrate the guy's 300th game knowing that all of this domestic violent abuse is there as well. You aren't just a person who runs on a rugby league field. There's a whole package, isn't there? Because you're exalting them when you actually put them in a Hall of Fame, Lachlan. You exalt them.
I think rugby league's quite a unique sport, because I think you will have talented players who are so successful, but on the field, they cross this line physically and in terms of their behaviour. Like Jared Waerea-Hargreaves is a great example, where he's a great prop, he's old-fashioned, he's been successful, he's had a great career, but he is dirty in how he plays.
Mate, he spent 15% of his career off the field.
Yeah.
Because he's been banned.
And it was at another level back when you were probably my age watching the sport. So I never watched. What's his name? Les Boyd.
Les Boyd.
I never
I
watched
loved him as a player. Hard ass, but foul.
That's the thing. I don't know. Because, I mean, you want someone who's had a successful, really great career to be celebrated, but at the same time, like eye gouging, I was reading up, he's suspended for 12 months for a whole year for eye gouging. So that means that was a serious eye gouge.
Yeah.
Biting, breaking people's jaws. Like, I wouldn't like it if he was in the Hall of Fame. But, like, for example, I don't like that Sam Burgess is in the Hall of Fame because I don't like him. I don't like some of the stuff that he's done off the field. What went on with his ex-missus.
Yeah, and her
family.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't care if he's a great player on the field. From all that stuff that he's done off the field, I don't think he's a nice person.
Exactly right.
So I don't like the fact that he's in there, but I can't deny at least the playing side and the success of it. It's a similar thing with Warrior Hargreaves. Long story short, no, I don't like that this guy.
Storm v Panthers tonight. Who you got
in the Hall of Fame?
Who you got? Panthers.
Yep.
They're at home.
They're at home. They've won 5 in a row. Cleary's back. Team's back healthy. I think they're going to go on a run. I think they're winning the premiership. Melbourne have been a very good side for 2003 was the first year that Bellamy, I think, coached them. So 21, 22 years.
The most consistent side, even though their salary cap rorting cheats for about the last 2 decades.
Apart from that, a bunch of premierships, a bunch of minor premierships. Well, isolating this game, the Storm have been the pace setters all year. I just think that Penrith are better. They've been the best team the last 3 or 4 years. There's nothing to suggest that they have fallen back. Because we've talked about the Storm, how great they've been all year. It feels like the Storm are light years ahead of everyone else, at least in terms of the table. They're only 2 points ahead of Penrith.
Mm-hmm.
Penrith are right there. And they haven't hit their...
What a game this is going to be.
They haven't hit their best this year. So
what is more chance of happening? Melbourne do win this game, or you stay awake for the whole game?
Melbourne win. Mate, I'm always falling. The great thing is I'm going to the gym tomorrow instead of today, so I won't be as tired as I usually am.
Springboks have made mass changes, 10 changes to the starting side that smashed Aussie 33-7 in Brisbane. Yes, they have still got 14 World Cup winning squad members in this 23. They have depth, Lachlan, don't they? I mean, can you imagine if this... Well, we can't do this because we've just lost to Argentina. But the All Blacks, we make these kind of changes when we play Fiji. This is against Australia and a Rugby Championship test. I mean, they are extracting the Michael, aren't they, the Springboks? You can write it however you want. But the fact is that if you're a Wallaby fan or an Australian rugby fan, or if you're Joe Schmidt, I'd be sitting there going, okay, that's... Yeah, okay.
Well, what I would do is, if I was Joe Schmidt, I'd use it as a way to rank my players up. Look how many changes they've just made to the team. Look how much they disrespect
you. They absolutely disrespect us, yeah. Let's just kick it back down their throats by beating them in Perth.
See, the worst thing is
Come on, let's go out there and physically dominate.
If the Springboks end up winning by about 20 points still, it's just like they're in a level now, I sort of liken it to where we were from about 2009 to 2016. What the All Blacks were in that period is what South Africa are now, and what the Wallabies were in that period is what the All Blacks are now. You might get the old win, you'll have some competitive games, but it always feels like there's this gulf between the two teams. So that's just another level.
Who wins the Premier League?
Well, according to Roy Keane, it's going to be Arsenal because of Mikel Arteta's weird tactics about making sure the players are alert all the time. Did you see this?
This is a brilliant clip, and if you haven't seen it, you've got to chase it down on YouTube, where Keane's sitting there with Ian Wright, Jamie Carragher, Gary Neville, and Gary Neville's telling a story about how Arteta, Arsenal coach, took all his players out for dinner and brought a whole lot of pickpockets along, and so at the end of the night, a few of the players reached in their pockets, oh my God, where's my wallet, where's my phone? And it was just so that, just as to teach you to keep alert. And Roy Keane is just as dry as the desert, says, okay, well, I guess they're winning it now then, huh? I'm sorry. A solid defence not conceding goals and winning most of your games and more than Man City would help, but no, pickpockets. Yeah.
Devlin.
Premier League underway. Here we go this weekend. For all of us who love the Premier League, it's another 9-month nightmare of early starts in the morning and mostly disappointment from your team and the big sigh that says Man City are probably going to win it all again. A couple of different bits to this. Richard Masters, the CEO of the Premier League, getting hard on that Man City club and the 115 separate financial fair play regulations that they faced yesterday. Hardly, if the truth be known. Andy Buckley, a little bit on that. And also, can anyone realistically topple his Man City? Is it going to be 7 from 8? Is it going to be 5 Premier League titles in a row? Andy, I want to ask you first about Richard Masters, the CEO of the Premier League, coming out tough yesterday. It is self-evident that this case needs to be resolved for the good of the league. It's time to resolve the Man City charges. Is this guy the ultimate paper shuffler? He sounds like somebody off Yes Minister. You know that he's not going to get personally involved. You know that he's calling for review consultants and moving it sideways.
Well, it would have seemed that way, wouldn't it? He says it's going to start next month, the hearing against the 115 charges against Manchester City. So we're expecting a result in early 2025. But we've heard it all before where I agree with you. We're just getting fed up with it all. Suggestions that Liverpool and Manchester United were behind his appointment at the Premier League. So whether there's an agenda there, we'll have to see. You can make your own mind up.
Let's hope so, if that's the case. Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't know. Will Manchester City start the 25-26 season with a brand new stadium that's 61,000 in the Conference North? I don't really think so. I don't know what the outcome's going to be, but the Premier League have just played a complete dog's dinner of it all, which is puts it into context. So, I mean, we're starting another season. This asterisk against Manchester City's name as Premier League champions remains. And that's the danger. That's the thing. People can throw the mud at them and say, well, and the mud sticks. People will say, well, you don't deserve it because you've broken the rules and all the rest of it. Whether the rules were right in the first place, I'm not too sure, because I think it was a deal to try and protect the old guard, and they don't want the new money to be running the show, which they seem to be at the moment. But we'll wait and see. I think we'll probably have another chat in about 12 months' time, and
we'll still be talking about it, and nothing will be resolved. Yeah, let's talk about who has the best chance. A City 6 and 7 years, 4 in a row. That is unprecedented. There hasn't been a huge amount of transfer activity. I mean, I go back years, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, and even longer, Andy, just like you do. And, this time of year, it would just be frenetic, wouldn't it? You'd be glued to every single news source you possibly could. These days, nothing seems to have really changed. The squads remain the same. There's been one or two little add-ons. Man United have got a couple of defenders. City have got some money up their sleeve after selling Alvarez. It still looks to me, and I'm sure it does to you, the usual suspects. You're going to have City, you're going to have Arsenal again trying, you're going to have Liverpool under a new manager, and then it's the best of the rest, including Aston Villa, Tottenham, Newcastle, Man United, whatever names you want to throw in. Am I right?
Yeah, I think you are right. I think if you look at the 20 clubs in the Premier League and think, well, where are they going to finish? You're not going to be far off in the top three, which I think is City, Arsenal and Liverpool. And then also, if you look at the bottom three, I think the three clubs that came up, Southampton, Leicester and Ipswich, would be favourites to fill the bottom three slots. Last year last season about Sheffield United, Luton and Burnley going straight back down again. The first time it had ever happened in the history of the Premier League, the top three that came up went down. And I think there's a decent chance that the Southampton, Leicester and Ipswich could fall by the wayside. I think clubs like Brentford, Bournemouth, Fulham, Brighton, they're quite cute, they're very clever, very shrewdly run, well managed. So Bournemouth as well, you'd think, Bournemouth, surely they've got to go through the trapdoor sooner or later. They might do, but they've got something about them. Forest, I suppose, always seem to be vulnerable. They always seem to be teetering on the brink. People like Wolves, where you think, mid-table, is that what they're going to do at best? But yeah, I still think, going back to your point about the top of the table, I think it has been a bit disappointing in terms of the transfer activity. I just think it has been fairly tepid. Whether City go into the transfer market, I don't know, because they've got this money for Alvarez, which I think is good money for him. He wasn't getting the minutes he wanted. Oscar Bob, who's one of their breakthrough players, has broken his leg this afternoon. So he's out for the rest of the year now. So, and big things were expected of him by Pep Guardiola. So City might think, hang on a minute, we've got to get some backup here to Erling Haaland. So City could spend. Obviously, they've got to be careful of how much they spend, because they don't want to overstep the mark and get the Premier League coming down heavy on them yet again. But they've got a very good record in terms of the transfer in and out activity. Liverpool, I think, are the unknown factor because of the new manager, Arne Slot, and whether the success that he's had in Holland will translate into the English scene. It hasn't for a lot of managers. If you think of Ten Hag at United, you think of all the people who've come over and they've had great reputations in the Dutch league, the Eredivisie, but it's just not happened when it's come to England because it's that much tougher. It's so much more competitive. So it's a gamble by Liverpool, but then again, who are the top managers? There's not that many out there. Klopp, tough act to follow, big shoes to fill. And I think Liverpool fans will probably think, well, hang on a minute, we ain't going to win the league this year. Let's make a decent foundation. Let's stabilise. Let's make progress. At Arsenal, obviously, thinking much higher. They'll be thinking, hang on a minute, we've blown it the last 2 years. Third time lucky for them, potentially. And people say, well, it's getting boring because City win it every year. As a City fan, I'd turn around and say, well, hang on a minute, why don't you challenge us? You've got a soft spot for Manchester United, to put it mildly, and United won the league a few years ago when really they didn't have the best teams going in United's
A few years ago, Andy.
history.
A few years ago. It was 12.
Yeah, well, I know.
It was 12,
it
mate.
does seem long ago. I know, but if you think of United in the 90s, they had some vintage teams, but they didn't win the league with the best teams. I mean, I think the last time they won it was the Van Persie era.
Yeah, look, he squeezed every last bit he could out of that sponge, Sir Alex. So, to be honest, I mean, sometimes I do agree with you. We won that title, and I was thinking, okay, well, that team wasn't as good as the team that didn't win it then, but that's the Premier League. And look, and fair play to you, and fair play to Man City, because I will still maintain, finally, that if there is one team in the league that at the turn of the year, that if you need to win 13, 14, 15 games in a row or 14 games out of 15, it is Man City, and have done it for the last 4 or 5 seasons. Peter FitzSimons, Lord Peter FitzSimons on the show. He's still in France. He was there for the whole of the Olympics. Now, Australia has reacted in 2 different ways to Rachel Gunn, the breaker, who was just such an embarrassment in that competition in Paris. They have either decided, hey, leave her alone, she did her bloody best, mate, she's one of ours, she's part of the Olympic team, or, no, what are you doing? You're worse than Dad having a few too many at his son's 21st and trying to do the dead ant in the middle of the dance floor. It was that cringe-worthy. Peter FitzSimons first on this, and then Greg Martin with his response. Raygun, superstar, or Aussie bum? I just happened to come across an opinion piece days ago, and I thought, wow, that was extremely well written, and what a sound argument it was, and I saw your name was attached to it, and I thought I'd better get to Paris and get you to explain, because the rest of us think she's an embarrassment.
No, that's so harsh. Look, the thing about this, let me put it in cricket terms so you'll understand.
Okay.
Your pump may not be old enough, but your older listeners will. I mean, Dennis Lilly was the great Australian bowler in the era of Sir Richard Hadley, and we would look at Dennis Lilly, and nobody ever thought I could bowl like him. But then along came Merv Hughes, and we all loved him for one simple reason. Yes, he was a good fast bowler, but he was sort of roly-poly, and he looked a bit like us. And you go, if things had gone differently for me, I could have, done what Merv Hughes did. And then for most of the Olympics, when you see Simone Biles, for example, or you see LeBron James, and you see the things that they do, well, they're from another planet. You just go, well, I couldn't possibly do anything like that. And then you see Raygun, and you go, oh, yeah, well, I reckon I could. If things had gone differently for me, I could be an Olympian too, because I could have done that. And I know she wasn't great. No,
Peter, let's just establish this. It's not that she wasn't great, she was awful.
That's harsh. What she said was, like I've seen you on the dance floor, Marty, and
yes.
You try and bust a few moves and you do your best, son.
Right,
but look, that you would be like that if you were going into that competition. You would see what the real breakdancers, the Americans particularly, the French, the Swedish, you'd see what they're doing. You go, well, look, I just can't compete with that. So the only thing you've got left is what you do on radio. All you can do is try to be creative. You can just try to be a bit edgy and just try to make up the difference. You're not born with a huge broadcasting talent, but by God, you've got a bit of guts. You've got a bit of guts. You put your views out there. And so you try and make up the difference with a bit of chutzpah and a bit of confidence that you have no right to. Okay, let's face it. And she is the Marty Devlin of the breakdancing world. Okay, so she's trying to make up the difference by being a bit edgy and a bit out there and a bit creative. And so she does what we call the sprinkler. That move where you go chun 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 chun, and she looks like Skippy the kangaroo, and she rolls around on the floor. And I thought it was fantastic. I thought that getting 0 out of 18, I think she got 6 judges 3 times, and she got 0, 0, 0. And I thought she was lucky to get to 0. I think, that's fair. But, just what I liked about it was the hell with it. I'm an Olympian, and there was an absolute outcry in Australia, and I've been stunned by the division. I would have thought, the Sydney Morning Herald did a poll, and I think it came in something like 69% for Raygun, 31% against. But there's a petition that's been circulating online today, and there's something like 25,000 Australians have signed it. Dear Anthony Albanese, please launch an inquiry into how our taxpayer dollars went to financing this woman. And I think it's un-Australian. Yeah, I don't mind you being un-Australian. You're a New Zealander. That's your right. But we Australians, what was lovely was, this absolute outcry in Australia. And then when they went to the closing ceremony, the Australian Olympic team, they put her on the shoulders, they got her to dance, and they got around it. So I thought it was fantastic.
Oh, stop it. You're not going to go on with Raygun. She is a national embarrassment. She didn't come home with the team. All the team came home yesterday. She stayed in Europe for a holiday because she's a highly paid academic. She's a clown, but she's a wonderful clown. But a mate of mine made a good point. He said, okay, the breakdancing, who won the gold medal? Well, I don't know.
Well, no one cares.
She's the only thing.
Yeah.
Breakdancing is an idiot who looked like a drunk arty at a wedding that couldn't get up off the dance floor. Oh, that's what everyone's talking about. Please.
Look, I don't like anyone copping abuse like that, but just in terms of what she actually did, and then you look at her background and go, hang on a second, you're not a doctor, you've got a doctorate in breakdancing, so somebody's given you a research grant to do this, and you kind of, organised the competition so that you would win it. Mate, if you're going to get on a world stage like that and pull that, there's only two ways of doing it. You deliberately do it to make a goose of yourself, or you deliberately do it to make a goose of yourself. You don't try and take yourself seriously dancing like that.
She looked like at a one-day international, some fan dressed in the outfit jumped the fence. A spectator jumped the fence. Honestly, it was. We're talking breakdancing. Would you believe that after both our nations won 18 and 10 gold medals, we're sitting here talking breakdancing, and that's what
Yep.
They've made a hero. He'll make millions. I don't know. I would guess. What? If you had a brand, what would you say? Geez, I need to get Raygun. Would it be an alcohol brand? This is what happens to you after you drink our drink.
Perfect. Yeah, drink 19 RTDs and then go dancing. Yeah, this would be it. That's our podcast for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to listen to the entire show, 1 till 4, Monday to Friday, download the Platform app, and via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to whatever shows over however many weeks at your leisure, at your listening pleasure. Platform Plus. First thing to do, though, is download the Platform app.
Devlin.
Oh, my goodness me!
The Platform.